service veterans and off-duty firefighters, and 50% to individual veterans and firefighters in need nationwide. Check out neverforgottenapparel.com. Use promo code MATT, M-A-T-T, and get 15% off your purchase.
Hey, Shanto, as we always say, it's all about the food. This is Try to Fish Radio. We're going to be talking about barbecue. One of the favorite things I like to talk about real quickly. I got my chef here, or Chef Patrick here. I got to tell him about a place that I went to Saturday. I think you're going to like this. You know, we've been looking for, I've been complaining about the way restaurant food is and everything, and I found a place finally.
Oh, you know what? It's Shake Shack. I saw it on Facebook, it was Facebook, right? Not Instagram, Facebook.
Yes, it was on Facebook. Yeah, Shake Shack. It's if you want just a nice hamburger, nice cheese and bacon fries, that kind of thing. It's not over processed. It's not when they package it. It reminds me of someone who started cooking hamburgers and stuff in their house and just kind of moved it out.
You know what I really like, and you mentioned it, is that their music isn't too loud and you can still talk.
Exactly.
And by the way,
yeah,
you have a caller.
Oh,
we have a caller.
Yes.
I'm gonna mute, and here you go.
Okay. Today we're gonna talk about barbecue with our barbecue expert, Mr. Corey Cash. How you doing, my friend?
You.
Oh, I'm doing all right. Thank you for coming on the show.
Hey, not a problem. Thank you for having me.
Oh, anytime. So let me talk a little bit about you. You were raised in a traveling military family. Throughout your adolescence, you spent extensive time in Manila.
All right, I'm going to call you out on something here. Did you really just say adolescence?
That's what it says.
You're reading the damn bio.
Of course.
I'm sorry, Corey. I don't mean to interrupt, but this is Chef Patrick. All right, that was really funny.
No worries.
Okay. All right, I'll let you go this time. I'll let it go this time. It is a good bio, though.
Okay, in his younger years, how's that? Is that better?
All right.
Spent extensive time in Manila and Istanbul. Definitely want to talk to you about Manila. Immerse yourself in their food and their culture, and once you move back to America, you immediately took different flavors and just kind of came up with barbecue. Tell me a little bit more about yourself.
Well, I was born in the States. I was born in California, but as soon as I was old enough to fly, my parents were stationed at Clark Air Force Base in the Philippines.
Yep.
And they were young parents. I think they were 20 when I was conceived. So, and they were still developing their careers in the Air Force. So I was left to a nanny for the first 3 years of my life, for the majority of my adolescence.
Oh.
And that nice young woman, cooked for me those 3 years, and
Yes.
I was attuned to a type of flavor and cuisine that you just don't get back in the States.
Exactly.
And same was with Istanbul and Incirlik Air Force Base. You were fully thrown in the mix with a new culture and their deep, rich flavors. Istanbul is right in the middle of the old Ottoman trading routes.
Yes.
You're able to get everything from every part of that world, and they create some of the most flavorful dishes I've ever had. And then coming back to the States, this was just this is the era when everyone was just cooking out of a box. It was, your shake and bakes, your hamburger helpers, your quick meal sets, because who has time when you're working every day and then raising a family for the white picket fence dream?
Yeah.
And I had to put the brakes on that. I definitely needed to get my hands back and my mouth around the flavors that I was accustomed to.
Mm-hmm.
And that translated into the family coming together on the weekends, and me and my stepfather, we would roll out the big grills and smokers to the end of our long driveway, and I would watch this transpire into a block party. And
Wow.
I quickly understand the power of good food and how it can be used, and it's been a part of my my existence ever since.
Now, Clark, have you been back to the Clark Air Force Base in Angeles City?
Oh, absolutely not. That thing's decimated.
Well, I'm here to tell you, there is new life there. They have made an international
Yeah.
made a new international airport. My wife is from the Philippines. She lives right outside. Her neighborhood basically is right outside Clark Air Force Base, and
Oh
it's,
man.
it's
Last time I was there, it was under a plume of a volcano soot.
volcano. Yeah, where her family went through that, and so yeah, it's Angeles City is definitely changing. And with that being said, so you're very familiar with sinigang and all those types of food as well.
Absolutely. I was the chef de cuisine for the Manila Social Club in Williamsburg.
Nice. That is. Oh my God. That's. See, I'm gonna have to come. You're gonna make me have to come to New York and see what you can do. Now, so tell me, is barbecue? Now, I know the answer to this, but I think a lot of people will be shocked. Is it American fad or is it worldwide?
Every country has its own version of barbecue. I mean, we've geared barbecue into what it is today from using what we have and little resources to develop a meal that everyone can have. You know, barbecue in America, and I think in most impoverished countries that really focus, it's a street food.
Yeah.
You know, it develops from the roots of I've got a fuel source and I've got a large protein. How can I get the most out of such a big cut that usually people don't even want to eat?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. How do now?
And I definitely
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, hell, I'll talk. You know what? No, I'm just joking. All right, Corey, you're the guest. We're going to let you go. Sean, I'm going to hold my finger up.
Yeah.
Look, there's a delay on this, so it's always tough to know when somebody's done talking or not done talking.
Yeah, I feel you on that one. I was going to say, I think it's definitely a worldwide thing. It stems from every culture. It's a gathering thing. It's a celebration of the people you're around and the food and the resources you've been able to gather.
Being barbecue here in America has become a very big tradition. So, with that being said, barbecuing as far as the smoke and the flames and really low and slow versus let me throw some meat on a hot grill or something that looks like a grill. What would you suggest to people that really want to get into this skill and join the American tradition? Or is it a fad?
I think you don't need a lot of investment to do a proper barbecue to get into smoking. It does take time. And that's what a lot of American people don't have. And the reason barbecue has been geared as a tradition is because it's always put in place with times of celebration.
Mm-hmm.
So, and in those times, let's just say 4th of July, it was passed not too long ago, there's a preparation involved. You're making plans, you're gathering folks, you're picking the venue, you're choosing the food. It's all coordinated, and that's exactly what barbecue is, and that's why these two things go hand in hand. That's why it's become such a tradition, because of the coordination involved.
Very nice. Now, if someone was starting out, what would be the basics as far as equipment?
You need fuel, you need time, and you need a vessel. It's as simple as that. And then, of course, the food. You can make it as simple or you can make it as complicated as you want. I like to fall somewhere in the middle. Mm-hmm. You can have something as simple as a Weber grill that is vented appropriately, and you're doing, indirect heat, so you'll have your coals to one side, your protein to the other, maybe a little water pan in there to create moisture and humidity, and vent it halfway. Watch your temperature control. You can play around with your Weber grill and watch the thermostat versus the how much coal you have in there and how much vent you have, and you just kind of play around until you get your good temperature marks. I like to lean somewhere around 210 to 225 in a Weber grill. because it doesn't have a lot of insulation and it won't be exactly that hot in there. And that's good play for temperatures falling low or too high. Gives you a nice wiggle room. And then, patience. This is something that you're not gonna just slap on and hope for the best. It's a measured approach. Do your research. There's forums. There's chefs out there that are teaching how to do these things, and it's fun skill to have, and it's nice to flex when the family comes over.
Very nice. We're talking to Corey Cash, a barbecue expert, and we're talking about barbecuing, real barbecuing. Now, I have a gas grill. Most people on this show know. But I actually do something a little different. I actually have a old bread pan that I heat up charcoal, and I do my little water, wooden water, usually I let my wood sit in the water for about 24 hours before I use it. And so I make like a smoke box. Now I know people out there are just really laughing at me, but what do you think about something like that? And how could I improve that until I can get my big grill, the big grill with the big wheels? How can I improve that?
Gas grills work just fine. I mean, it's all about indirect heat. So you're going to want to have your heat source away from the protein. I usually have the heat source all the way to the left of the grill, and then I put my meat right underneath the vents on the right side of the grill. And that little coal box is going to work great. You're going to be able to add in flavor with that soaked wood chip. Have that directly over the heat source, and then that smoke and heat will accumulate inside of that grill chamber. And you're going to be getting all that flavors that passes through the vent.
Well, very nice. I'm happy to know I'm at least doing something right. I am not a grill master. I'm definitely not a pit master. I do like to get out there. And here's the thing about me, and maybe you can help me spread the word here. I will fire up my grill. I mean, I've done it when it's snowing in December. I just like grilled meat, and I like barbecue meat as well. Why do people not take advantage of that? Come on.
I mean, not everyone's blessed, especially here in New York. Blessed with the space and ability to grill outside, and doing these kind of things indoors are doable. I'm not the biggest fan of oven barbecue, but it can be done inside. But for most, you need outdoor ventilation, so you're not getting carbon monoxide inside your tiny 800 square foot apartment.
That would not work well, I don't think. So for someone who, let's say they've already gotten their equipment, they're getting ready, what would be the easiest choice of meat, a cut of meat that they could start with, as versus what would be the hard meat to start with, and what they need to do to move up to the harder cuts of meat to barbecue?
As far as graduating from something like ribs to a pork shoulder or a brisket?
Yeah.
Really, it's understanding of the protein, understanding of time and temperature, and when these parts of the animal are going to break down at what temperature. Knowing that a rough cut is similar to smoking, is similar to things like braising or slow roasting. It's a gradual breakdown of the connective fibers inside of the animal. And that's also going to retain the low and slow is going to retain the fat, which retains the flavor inside as well. And with that knowledge and the understanding of how that all works, you can gain that confidence, knowing that, say, a brisket. I would recommend purchasing a 15-pound average, and then there's sections of the cut that you want to remove, like the eye round fat inside, and then it's got a little lip on the bottom of the cut of brisket. You're going to want to know that you want the fat cap, or where all the fat remains on the top. needs to remain on the top so that all the flavors melt down into the meat over the prolonged period of smoke. And again, patience. It's just I didn't get my first brisket right. Bless you if you do. And if you don't, it's just knowing that it's something you want to do and you try again.
So in your many years of barbecuing, what would you suggest as far as really homing in? I mean, like you just said, you made your first brisket and it wasn't where you kind of wanted. Like for me, when I wanted to make the perfect steak, I mean, I was cooking steak almost every day. Of course, you're talking about expensive meat, so you don't really do that every day. But how often would you say tell someone to actually go out and grill, whether it's good or bad?
I mean, if you got the time and you've got the money, because brisket isn't cheap anymore. It used to be cheap, but now it's a commodity. The popularization of this barbecue industry has increased the prices of these once very, very affordable offsets. And you got all summer. It's very practice. Mm-hmm. You need all the practice you can get.
Mm-hmm. We're talking to Corey Cash. He is barbecue expert. And Corey, how can people reach out to you on Facebook and Instagram and whatever other social medias that you have?
You can find me on Facebook, Cash Only BBQ. That's at Cash Only BBQ. Same goes with Twitter. Same goes with Instagram. If you do those things. Instagram is what I post on most. It's just very accessible for me. I'm doing a lot of things and trying to manage this brand and pay the rent at the same time. It's tricky, but I managed to keep up with events. I'm going to be doing a Pig Island barbecue competition in September 7th. You're going to be able to find me out there. I've got a couple new stuff going on that I'm going to be displaying there. I'm going to be in a whole pig display. That's going to be pretty epic. I highly recommend you come out.
Now, did you learn how to do the whole hog? Was that something that came back from your childhood? Because I know over there in the Philippines, they do a lot of that. They do a lot of the whole pig.
I mean, it definitely gave me a level of understanding at a young age, like, oh, that can't be done. So I guess just with that, it wasn't such a daunting task the first time I had to do it. And I've been a chef for 16 years professionally now, and just there probably hasn't been a thing I haven't had to whole roast yet.
Oh my goodness, just the whole roasted thing.
Wait. So, I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt. But so have you roasted like a whole side of beef? Have you smoked a whole side of beef or?
Yeah, I have. I've done a full rack, whole beef rack.
Jeez.
That's awesome.
Too much.
Being from New York, so I grew up in upstate New York, and I spent time between there and Greenwich Village, between Saratoga Springs and there, and spent about half the year in each. And there was a barbecue for us was grilling out on a Sunday with the Weber grill with some Kingsford charcoal and a lot of lighter fluid and some chicken, typically marinated in Italian dressing when I was a kid. So, hey man, I got to Texas as soon as I could, and I'm well, Corey. I mean, being from the Northeast or living in the Northeast, was it hard, especially in New York City? Look, it's a food town. I lived in Greenwich Village, just one door west of Gotham Bar and Grill, and so it's a tough town to be successful in. Was the acceptance good there? I mean, did people know what good barbecue was? Because obviously you're putting your heart and soul into it.
When I opened up in Williamsburg, I mean, it was quite a welcome reception. I mean, from the minute I opened the doors, 3 weeks later, I was in the New York Times. I was getting calls from the Food Network. I was everyone's fan favorite. I was, the neighborhood embraced me so much, and it was a blessing. There was a level of validity there that I was bringing something to the table that New York hadn't seen yet, but was very grateful to do.
So forgive my candor, but I think that comes with just being a badass.
I don't know about badass, but it's continual practice. I'm learning every day, and I try to apply it to my food, and people seem to enjoy it.
Come on, anybody that puts cash only on their knuckles and tattoos it permanently there, that's all right. In my book, I'm from upstate New York originally, though, so you know what? Maybe my definition is a little different, but anyway. Hey, so my question before was I had actually kind of threw Sean under the bus about what's the most difficult cut of meat to smoke when you start out? Is there one that everybody, a consensus across the board, thinks is the most difficult?
After out of all the ones to smoke, funny enough, to get a good pork belly going, it's a little difficult. I mean, it doesn't have as much fat as some of the other cuts. There's a curing stage involved that I like to do to retain moisture. If you want to, a nice crackle top at the end, that's another technique. But just to get a good, moist, smoked pork belly that's going to come out flavorful, similar to the texture that you would get from pulled pork without it falling apart too much, and finding that happy medium texture to where it's servable, that's a tricky one. But for your beginners, I would even say just the pork shoulder, the pork butt, if you will, and that one provides some skill to get that all to break down appropriately without being too chewy.
That was the first time I ever made ham. I cured my pork shoulder for at least 3 days, and I didn't realize. Well, I didn't cure it. I actually was brining it, so it sat in some salt and water for a while. I threw that joke on the grill. I was like, "Well, this is kind of salty. It tastes like ham." I was like, "Duh, that's what you made." But it was good. But real quickly, we got to take a break here in about 2 minutes. I want to tell you a disaster that I did this Christmas. I love smoked turkey, and so I decided I was going to make a smoked Cajun turkey, and I did everything, brined it. Didn't brine it too long, but brined it, cleaned it up, got my little rosemary butter under the skin, all the real perfect things you're supposed to do. But I got a little too happy with the Cajun seasoning. Let me just say that even the dog didn't like it. It was pretty horrid. So what is your favorite? What's the most exotic meat you have ever grilled or barbecued?
Well, I did. They made me do yak on chop, so that was one of the top ones that I had done yet. That was interesting. Personally, I've done lamb isn't too difficult either, but there's a whole process with tenderizing that.
Mm-hmm.
So let's just say lamb. Lamb is pretty difficult to get a nice, nice consistent, texture, and it's not too rubbery. Lamb takes some work, so that's one that you have to try a couple times to get right.
Well, I feel you there. Now I've done lamb chops. I've never really done I think it did do a leg of lamb, and it actually came out pretty good. So we've got a little bit more time. How can people reach out to you again? And I definitely want to talk to you about your appearance on Chopped on the other side of the break.
You can find me at Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at CashOnlyBBQ, one word.
All right, very nice. And we're going to talk to you a little bit more about Chopped and your Food Network experiences. And I want to also talk to you about this barbecue sauce you've created with Four Roses Bourbon, which we had them on a few weeks ago, and I'm gonna tell you, I'm a bourbon connoisseur. The problem that I have with trying to make a barbecue sauce out of bourbon, I usually don't have enough bourbon left.
I knew that was coming. Drink all the bourbon. You got lots of ketchup or tomato paste left over.
Exactly. So when we come back, we will continue to visit with Mr. Corey Cash right here on Try This Radio. Yeah. Matter of fact, I got to go get some more bourbon.
Dr. Ken Brown here, host of Gut Check Project with my co-host Eric Rieger. Eric, we've been seeing Mojo guys over there and over here at Spoony talk about Atrantil for bloating. I've seen in my practice that Atrantil is a whole lot more than just a bloating product.
Yes, it does a whole lot more than just fix bloating because of the polyphenols that you find in Atrantil.
You're exactly right. The polyphenols are those molecules that we find in the Mediterranean diet. It makes vegetables and fruits very colorful. What are some of the things that these polyphenols do, Eric?
These polyphenols can actually stop inflammation. They can help you have more energy. They can help you with anti-aging. And polyphenols are great for athletes.
It sounds like it's going to help a whole lot more people than just bloating. Tell me how everybody should be taking Atrantil.
If you want to dose Atrantil, it's 2 capsules 3 times a day, basically with your meals. But if you aren't bloated and you just want that polyphenol intake every day, 2 to 3 capsules a day will work for you.
Go to lovemytummy.com/Spoony. Dr. Ken Brown here, host of Gut Check Project with my co-host Eric Rieger. I've seen in my practice that Atrantil is a whole lot more than just a bloating product.
Yes, it does a whole lot more than just fix bloating because of the polyphenols that you find in Atrantil.
What are some of the things that these polyphenols do, Eric?
These polyphenols can help you have more energy, and polyphenols are great for athletes.
It sounds like it's going to help a whole lot more people than just bloating. Go to lovemytummy.com/Spoony.
Are you tired of high cable TV rates? Sign up for Dish today and get a $500 bonus offer while supplies last. Plus, lock in your price for 2 years guaranteed. Call All American Dish, your Dish authorized retailer now.
800-570-6630. 800-570-6630. That's 800-570-6630. Offers require credit qualification, 24-month commitment, early termination fee, and e-auto pay. Restrictions apply. Call for details.
Welcome back to Try This Radio. This is AAR Shanto. We're talking to Mr. Corey Cash. He's a barbecue expert. And we want to talk about, we just don't have enough time in an hour. We might have to spread this out a little bit. Corey, one of the things I definitely wanted to talk to you is how in the world did you end up on Chops with the Food Network? And we've had quite a few Food Network celebrity chefs on the show. And I've always been intrigued by how you go from a kitchen to a show, and I know how they film the show. How do you go through that, and how did you get picked to be on Chopped?
Funny enough, I was wrapping up one night Cash Only Barbecue, and we got a call in to the restaurant, and the girl working the counter was like, "It's Food Network Chops. Want to know if you want to be on the show." I just said yes, and the process started to go through. They had me do an on-camera interview to see if I didn't break the screen. I didn't, and we just took it from there. Scheduling to where I could take a day off of work and come in and have my ass handed to me.
Yeah. I was going to say, it's a group. How many hours? About 12 or 13 hours of shoot time, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. We got there 6 in the morning and started filming right at like 6:15. It's a turnstile.
Yeah.
They are efficient.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I've heard. So this yak, you had to explain that one to me. What? First of all,
wait. Did you see that final dish? Did you see the description of the final dish? I mean, hold on. So this is not the final. This is the entree, right? You had oyster liqueur grilled yak kofta with beaten apple crisp sauce.
Wow.
I mean, dude, this is not cooking 101.
No,
this is cooking. This is a 400 level course for a graduate degree. Getting your master's.
Yeah, I was reading a bit, I don't know about yak. I have never cooked with it. It's not something that I source on the regular. I mean, the adventurous chef out there is Googling how to soft poach ostrich inside of the Serengeti. I don't go that deep in some of the things. I just take what I know from where I've lived and make it the best I can.
Yeah.
That being said, yak was completely foreign to me. And I decided to just put it through a meat grinder and treat it like I would lamb if I wanted to make a lamb kefte. And I figured that it was a game animal. It may have a gamey flavor to it. I should treat it as such. So I felt that I could produce all of this with what I had, and I did the best I could.
That's just shocking. So
did you see the picture of that dish? I mean, it's like it's really cool because it looks like. So can I ask what cut of yak they gave you for that, Corey?
It was a yak ribeye.
Wow. Okay. So he made these kind of they're almost like medallions, or almost like actually they're kind of like a chopped yak croquette almost. It's like a yak cake, like a crab cake, but a yak cake. Yeah. I don't know how you did this because I didn't watch. I'm sorry, I didn't watch it. But then they're beautifully browned, and then over this beaten apple crisp sauce that's under there with looks like some green onion on top as a garnish. Dude, I'm impressed. I've used yak one time. I had ground yak I had to use for an event up in Fort Collins for a catered event, and it's pretty. The stuff I had was really lean because it was farm raised stuff.
What does it taste like?
Tastes like chicken. No, I'm just joking.
Oh, it was gamey.
Okay.
It's got a bit of a game to it. It's like gamey beef.
Ah, okay.
It's kind of like elk, but a little higher fat content. Elk is really, really lean. I mean, was the ribeye? Was it a lean ribeye, or did it actually have the marbling that a standard ribeye would have, Corey?
It did not have marbling. It had the little fat pockets that you would get from your hometown grocery store. I was about to call out a brand, but I don't have to do that to anybody.
Well, hey, no, hey, promote whoever you want. It's your show.
It was very lean. It was very lean. No, Bravo doesn't deserve the fact that their beef program needs a little upgrade. Bravo Foods, work on that beef game. I can't buy steak at your store.
Wow.
Hey, that's like Jewel in Chicago. I can't shop there anymore either. I'm sorry. Just can't do it. Seafood or beef.
Ooh.
I mean,
I know.
Down south, you have Piggly Wigglies where butchers really care what they're putting behind their counters. Up here, it's just like, that's what they're doing.
One of the places that I like to go, and we're in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, I like to go to the Asian markets. And we've got one in Dallas. It's a Korean place, and they have, every type of meat you can get your hands on. And it's just great.
Is that Kmart? I'm joking.
Yeah,
Korean market.
What is it? Hypermart or something like that? Some kind of mart.
There's a Koreatown just on the other side of Irving, right? And there are a bunch of really big Asian grocers, specifically Korean. Yes. And some amazing Korean barbecue places.
Exactly. No, that's exactly where these places it's like the Walmart of Asian mart, and there's like two of them over there. So. No, you're right. That's where I like to go. But I find that the ingredients there are a lot fresher, especially when it comes to seafood. And I can tell you. Oh, yes,
definitely seafood.
I can definitely tell you that the game wardens here in Texas, they go to these places because I've seen them inspect. So it's no joke. It's like you said, Kmart. It's not a Kroger with some ice packed whatever.
The seafood can be fresh. I trained. I'm a Japanese food specialist, trained specifically in sushi. But be sure you go with either the day they arrive or the next day. But they have the live tanks and stuff like that, which is always kind of nice to have them pull out like striped bass or things like that, or some fish they don't even know the name of it, and there's no way we're gonna. But they look pretty, and I'm sure they taste good.
They definitely do. So, Corey, tell me about this barbecue. Sausage you made with Four Roses bourbon. See, I'm already Excited.
I've made a lot of sauces with liquors before, and when I was approached by Four Roses to give a crack at my barbecue sauce with them, I tailored my already amazing recipe and amped it up with Four Roses. It's fruit wood notes. It's bourbon flavor. Really mends well with the complexities of my flavor as well. It was a nice match, and I have to say, it's probably going to be how I'm going to be making my sauce from now on.
Really, man, that must be good. So
yeah, man, it's really good.
So I've got to ask you this. So how many bottles of bourbon did you drink going through this process, and was it fun?
I hope this doesn't come as a disappointment. I am actually sober.
Really? That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I don't drink.
Oh man, that's I was like that for years.
So real quick question, Corey. Sorry to interjecting you, but were you always that way, or was that a recent choice, or just a lifelong personal decision?
This has been a graduation of self for sure. I have not always been the most responsible when it comes to alcohol consumption, and it's been a hard lesson at points in my life, and especially with the wallet and the health. And it was overall a health choice, and I'm glad I made the choice. That being said, I utilize liquor and alcohol and beer in my cooking all the time for the flavor it provides. And Four Roses definitely has come to the table with that one, all pun intended, and it's put some nice barbecue sauce in bottles.
Well, share some of the ways you use your barbecue sauce, and what would you, what flavors does it really work with? Does it work with all types of protein, or is there a certain one that you like to put it on, or how do you utilize it?
Barbecue sauces, depending on its ingredients, could be used in many different ways. It could be, finishing sauce. It could be a marinade. It can be a condiment. Whatever works for you. For me, I use it in every facet, from after butchery to marinating to during the cooking process to develop even more richer and bolder flavors, letting those sugars caramelize as the cooking process goes on, and then of course after it comes off the grill and rests, finishing it with that same barbecue sauce. You're just building flavors at that point.
Now you mentioned rest, and I want to talk a little bit about that, because I think a lot of people don't realize what that is. I think that's one of the biggest mistakes that people. I used to make that mistake all the time. Explain what resting is when it comes to barbecuing and grilling, well, just cooking meat in general.
A common misconception with grilling and bringing the meats to the temperature that is required for the preferred texture and taste is you don't want to kill that protein and pull it off. Say your brisket's going to be done at 195 degrees to 200 degrees. If you're temping that cut of beef as it's coming out, you're not going to pull it at 200. You're going to pull it at 190, and then you're going to wrap it in foil. And like I do, I wrap it in aluminum foil and plastic wrap to lock all moisture inside of that meat. That's a pro tip for everybody listening. I'm say that again. After it comes out of the smoker, wrap it in aluminum foil and then mummify that with plastic wrap. You are locking in every bit of moisture from that cut. You are not going to lose an ounce. And that is going to make for some of the best brisket you've ever had, because you're going to pull it at 190. It's going to continue to cook with residual heat. It's going to come up to 200 right and stopping right at that perfect temperature, and you haven't lost an ounce of that fat, and it's all just falling back in place within the protein instead of leaking out the bottom. And then as it rests and the temperature comes down, it's going to be the best thing you've ever eaten.
Yeah, I'm over here wiping the drool off my chin. I'm so hungry right now.
Oh my goodness.
It's getting to be lunchtime.
Yes, it is. Oh my goodness.
Hey, shall we hop in the car and head to New York right now?
Yes, let's. I'll fly. We'll go get a plane and we'll fly.
I'm ready to. I'm going to call my buddy Jake Breer. He's the corporate chef for Chobani, and I think I'm going to give him a shout. And because he lives out in Brooklyn, I'm going to have him head your way and say, I need you to drop ship me some stuff. Keep it warm. This is not Gray's papaya. This is better. Send it out, and just let me know what it costs. Because I mean, look, I've been in Texas. I've been in Texas 18 years now. From New York, I went to all over Arizona, California, Colorado, wherever. But to get real high quality barbecue in New York, man, I can't wait to get back there. I think we need to take a trip, Sean.
I've been. My wife definitely wants to go. So yeah, we might have to take a trip over there.
Well, after the WFC in October, we're ready to go. I'm ready to go.
I was going to say, after the World Food Championships, yeah, you might have to. I've got a busy, and then next year I'm going to Manila again. And you know what exciting thing about being in the Philippines, as Corey was talking about, their love for food. I really enjoy cooking for their family. And this year I did steak. Next year, I'm either going to do Thanksgiving or I finally perfected the chicken fried steak.
So
finally.
I'm going to ask both. I'm going to ask both of you, because I love Filipino food as well.
Yeah.
Is there something that you can't get here that's just a little off that you really miss when you're in the Philippines, you come back, or from your childhood, Corey, that you can't get here? Is there anything that's, because I know you worked at you started out in New York and did some really cool things at a great Filipino restaurant there, but is there something you miss? Something you're jonesing for?
Some of the, I was 3 years old when I left the Philippines, so a lot of those flavors were reintroduced through my family as we moved back to the States. My father remarried a beautiful Filipino woman, and that those flavors have continued on in my life because of that. And my half sister as well. They, I would have to say tocino. That nice braised pork shoulder with the annatto seed, brown sugar, pineapple juice, and spices. That is just something that is. I highly seek. I need that, and there are a few. I'm here in New York, so we can pretty much get anything we want. But for those outside of the circle, it's definitely something you need to try.
So it's not the avocado ice cream on a hamburger bun, then?
No, that ain't for me.
No. So for me, I love Filipino food. So there's two things I really miss. One are the what are the banana leaves wrapped? They always have rice and pork and stuff in them. They're steamed. They're kind of sticky rice. They're kind of packages, right?
Yeah.
And there's all sorts. There's some have chicken, beef, rice. Some are vegetarian, but they're really nice and savory. But one of the other ones is they've had a lot of influence there over the years. With first occupation being, I think, Portugal, a couple centuries ago, but they have this amazing linguiça there, this Portuguese linguiça sausage, and their Portuguese black bean soup is probably the best soup. The best black bean soup I've ever had. It's Portuguese black bean soup from the Philippines, but it's you can't find that linguiça anywhere outside of the Philippines.
Yeah, I agree. For me,
there's a nice little spot in Queens called the Phil Am Market that reproduces that stuff, and it's very, very close.
Wait, what is that called?
The Phil Am Market, PHIL-AM Market. It's in Flushing, Queens. Okay. It's this little mom and pop shop. I believe they're in association to the Filipino barbecue restaurant across the street. I said that correctly. It's a Filipino barbecue restaurant.
So next time I head out to the U.S. Open, I'm gonna.
I can't pronounce.
Man, that's it. Phil Am. I'll have to remember that.
They have some premier Filipino products there, and a little Filipino butcher in the back. You can get longanisa. You can get fresh rolled lumpia that you can fry at home. Quality stuff.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, that's another one.
Yeah, my wife made lumpia the other day.
All right, so as a chef, I'm sorry to ask so many questions, but as a chef, I love to cook, I love to eat, but I rarely eat. So as a sushi chef for 7 years, I had sushi every freaking day. I had to try every piece of fish, and I basically stopped eating sushi for a while. I never ate out, right? And but is there? Do you eat barbecue every day? I mean, or do you eat what you cook on a regular basis? And if not, what's your go-to when you're just out and about and you need a quick meal? Is there something that you have a preference for?
I love my barbecue, and as much as I could say I could eat it every day, you just can't eat the same thing every day. I'm definitely, making sure everything's tasting the way it needs to, so that flavor always is locked into my palate. But my day-to-day is as simple as a dollar cheese slice from down the block before I get on the subway.
So do you go to Murray's Cheese Shop? Where do you go?
No, I go to this little dollar pizza spot here in Bed-Stuy, Brooklyn, and it's on the corner of Fulton and Nostrand. Hands down, low key, one of the best dollar slices in New York City. When you go there on the right day with the right guy behind the counter, I make sure it's the right guy. Pizza is crispy. The cheese to sauce ratio is perfect.
Do you put Parmesan and chili flake, or one or the other?
Makes it perfect.
So I'm sorry, I didn't mean to. Do you chili flake and Parmesan, or one or the other?
Oh, no parm. It's the chili flake, garlic, salt, and oregano every time.
Now, you said something that's quite interesting to me. We're in Dallas-Fort Worth, okay? I can't find a pizza anymore that has a nice crisp crust. What is going on with that?
No, Joe's, Big Joe's. There's like 10. They're from Brooklyn.
Really?
I'm sorry. No. Holy crap! They're from the Bronx, dude. They're gonna kill me.
Well, I'll be gone by the time they get here. But there's one over by my house. So.
But go and buy a slice, right? They keep it cold at the counter. Okay. Buy one slice and throw it in. I mean, the pies are great, but I like that. And Corey, I love that. That's one of the things I miss from New York is a big slice of plain cheese pizza. Yeah. And it's already been cooked, but it crisps up so well that second time when they throw it in that 500-degree oven, 600-degree oven. Now I'm really hungry.
Well, y'all both are killing me. So we're talking to Corey Cash. Corey, tell me about Corey's Cash Only Barbecue. Tell me a little bit about that.
Cash Only Barbecue started the concept. I was a barbecue chef for 3 different concepts up here in New York. Virgil's, I was their executive chef in their Mohegan Sun location. Brother Jimmy's Barbecue, I was their chef de cuisine for the corporation. I oversaw logistics from stopping from a commissary production to smoking in every one of their locations, and I was in charge of setting that up. And then I went over to Georgia's Eastside Barbecue and was their executive chef for a period of time on Orchard Street in the Lower East Side. And during my tenure at Georgia's Eastside Barbecue, may she rest in peace, the owner convinced me to get cash only on my knuckles because if you've ever been to the Lower East Side in Manhattan, it is a high-density tourist area, and if you've never had to deal with high-density tourism, there is a lot of questions. And a repeating question that these tourists would have is because my name was on the menu and the restaurant was also a cash-only concept. So people would associate me and the fact that they only were allowed to pay in cash as the reasoning. So every day they would annoy the owner, are you guys cash only because your chef's name is Cash? And it became a running joke to the point where I was paid $100 to get cash only strapped across my knuckles.
Wow. That's nice.
And from there, I always said if I were to ever open my own spot, it would be called literally Cash Only Barbecue.
That is cool. That's a great story. I like stories like that.
You gotta love how people come up with the names.
Exactly.
You have to. I mean, it's and it's not complicated enough that you can't remember it, but it's interesting and cool enough because look, if you've been in New York, or you're from New York, Lower East Side is yeah, it's daunting. It's a bit daunting to go down there, especially on a weekday, or a weekend is even worse. Go down like evening weekday, but
wow, I can't imagine. I can smell the food though.
So Corey, I mean, how long have you been in New York City? Or have you lived there entirely?
I'm going on 8 years now.
Okay. So what have you seen change in the food scene there? I mean, man, I can't tell you what's changed in the 30 years since I left living in the city full time. But what have you seen in the last few years?
The rise of Seamless and its takeover of our industry.
Mm-hmm.
I've watched the dynamics in the back of the house and the kitchens, from these hostile environments to creators coming together and making amazing food. I've watched the transition of, the styles of people that own these restaurants and how they influence the business. I've watched the trends. I've watched the diets, your ketos, your Atkins, your whatever the next flavor of the year is, or what's the Mediterranean diet, what's going to get you skinny quicker.
Smoked watermelon ham, baby.
You get to see it on a you get to see these changes on a global scale from an 8 mile radius, and that's always exciting. New York real estate definitely has influenced the opening and closing of some of the most amazing and some of restaurants that should have closed a long time ago. Just come and go, and it's been a wild ride. It's given me the opportunity to learn every cuisine. From when I first moved here, I made it a point to get accustomed with the Michelin standard, from working at places like Masa and getting my ass handed to me, working at places like Le Cirque and getting my ass handed to me, and Vaucluse and all the the places where you're going to learn techniques that you wouldn't necessarily learn outside of New York City, and then seeing that applied into culinary from a day to day has just been a treat to experience.
Wow.
So you mentioned a couple places there, Masa and Le Cirque. And so this was Le Cirque 2000, right? The second reiteration of Le Cirque. But Masa?
Yeah, the reiteration.
Dude, Masa?
Yeah,
Are you kidding me?
It was one of the places I worked when I got into the city.
Wow.
So I've worked for I worked for Noble for a long time. I opened restaurants for him. I opened Matsuhisa up in Aspen, and I've worked with Chef Morimoto. We opened and designed his restaurant in Bangkok. But you're talking about Masa is a whole different level, man.
Yeah.
That's what is it like? You can't
I had to wash dishes for $8 an hour for 3 months before I could even touch a knife.
Wow.
Yeah, and I don't think you're allowed in. Like, you can't go to the sushi bar and sit by yourself, or you can't get a reservation for one there. You have to have two or more.
Wow.
You just can't walk in. There's no walk-ins.
Oh my goodness.
Phenomenal food, though.
No, and I believe there's no menu. There's no prices on the menu. It's a set price for the experience.
So if you got to ask how much you got to pay, then you might as well.
You can't afford it. If you got to ask, you can't afford it.
Yeah, if you got to ask, you can't afford it.
Well, Corey, we got about 2 minutes. One thing I wanted to ask you, your barbecue sauce you made with Four Roses bourbon, now can people purchase that? If not, are you thinking about kind of collaborating there and putting something together?
I would love to cooperate with Four Roses Bourbon, and also I'm a man that don't waste the liquor that was sent to me since I'm not drinking it. So presently, Four Roses condoning or not, the barbecue sauce I'm selling on my website, and that is all of the 100 bottles I have. I've already sold maybe 20 of those 100 bottles, do have the Four Roses in it. And, with their graces and, great reviews from the 100 bottles of Four Roses barbecue sauce that I secretly have on my website right now, I'm selling it.
How can people get these items?
You can find my barbecue sauce with Four Roses in it and my T-shirts at cashonlybbq.com.
All right. Well, thank you, sir, for coming on. We got a little bit of over a minute.
Hey, hey, Corey, if you ever want some more airtime, because there's a lot of questions. Like and by the way, Sean, thanks for being gracious and letting me interject.
Anytime.
I have so many questions for all the chefs out there. If you ever want more time, you just want to talk and tell your story and not have anybody interject so much, you're welcome to call in, and I do a 2-hour show each day. But man, Sean, thanks for having Corey on, and Corey, thank you for gracing us with your presence. So, Corey, you got the last minute. It's you and Sean.
But Corey,
all right, thank you very much.
Thank you for coming on the show. And you gave me a recipe for my ribs. Somehow yesterday became Rib Day on Facebook. I think I saw 18 different rib things that had been done. So I had to pull my little rack out, and I'm going to follow your directions, and I have to have you back in about a month. Is that doable? We can talk about it.
Very doable. I'd love to see what you do with that recipe.
Absolutely. I'm looking forward to it. I'm a rib guy, and you already gave me something that I didn't even think of, and that was wrapping the ribs or whatever, the brisket, into foil and plastic wrap. I like that. Well, Mr. Corey Cash, thank you for coming on, and we will be in touch. And this is Try This Dish Radio. Thank you, Patrick Chef Patrick, right here from Spoony Radio.
All right, thank you so much.
Try This Dish Radio. We'll see you next week.
This is the only 24-hour Take Anywhere platform dedicated to food and fun. We're Spoony.